Hello, and welcome to this demonstration of the CoolSpools commands needed to convert your IBM spool file to PDF, including both static and dynamic images. The CoolSpools application includes commands to convert your IBM spool files to PDF and save them to the server's IFS, or to distribute them using FTP or as email attachments. The conversion command includes parameters that allow you to specify the path of a JPEG or GIF image to be included in the generated PDF document. And while this is often a static image, such as a company logo or an overlaid form that mimics pre-printed stationery, it's also possible to assign the JPEG or GIF file name dynamically at runtime based upon the content of the spool file. This has a wide variety of applications, such as including a product image based on a product number on the page, or varying the company logo so that it matches the sales region or team. For the purposes of this demo, we're going to look at a simple spool file that contains some basic employee data that's used to generate staff ID cards. So if we look at the spool file, it contains 6 pages of employee details, and for each employee, it contains the employee name, their role within the company, and the employee number. So starting at the top of the spool file, the first line is page 1, line 5, which contains a name, Harold Smith. Then if we go down, the next line is page 1, line 6, IT manager. And then page 1, line 8 is the employee number 1002. And if we continue looking through, we can see that the next data is for page 2, lines 5, 6 and 8, and then page 3, lines 5, 6 and 8, and so on. And if we were to run the CoolSpools conversion command with the default parameters, then the PDF document that would be generated would be a 6-page document containing lots of white space and the 3 lines of text from the spool file page in a Courier font. But let's look at what CoolSpools can do if we use additional parameters to include images in the generated PDF document. So here you can see that the PDF document does include those 3 lines of text, the employee name, role and employee number, but it also includes a box around the page, a heading section with the text staff ID and a company logo, a photograph of the employee, and at the bottom of the document, the employee signature. And the document has a name, staff ID, and then the employee number. And the same is true of each of the 6 documents that have been created. And I should point out that all of the employees in this demo are entirely fictional, and even the photograph and signature have been generated using AI, so you don't need to worry that we're sharing sensitive personal data in this demo. Now let's look at how we used CoolSpools to get from that very simple spool file to the more complex PDF document. This CL program starts by calling an RPG program to generate our spool file of staff IDs. It's then running the CoolSpools command convert spool PDF in order to convert from that spool file to our PDF documents. And if we press F4 to prompt the command, we can walk through the different parameters that have been specified. So we start by specifying the name of the spool file to convert, that's staff ID, and also the name of the job that created the spool file, which is the current job, and the spool file number, for which we've specified the value last, which means the most recent spool file created by the current job will be converted. And that's the spool file that was just created by the RPG program above. Then we specify the name of the PDF document we want to create. In this case, we're creating the document in a directory /home/demo/staff/IDs on our IFS, and the file name is staff_id_employee_id.pdf. And you'll notice that this value employee ID uses delimiters, and that tells us that CoolSpools is using a variable that's been defined elsewhere within the command parameters, and we'll come to that later. At the bottom of this first page of parameters, we can specify what to do if a file with that name already exists, and in this case we're happy to replace the existing file. Now let's page down through the parameters, and a lot of these parameters relate to the delivery of the file by email or via FTP, and since we're not doing that, we can keep paging down until we come to the next parameter that we have specified. And because our spool file has a non-standard width and height, and is not a standard A4 document, we've specified some page options to tell CoolSpools to best fit the PDF page to the spool file attributes. Now let's page down again, and here we're telling CoolSpools that we need to split the spool file into multiple PDF documents, and on this occasion we're splitting based on pages, and we're splitting every one page, so after each page it's going to generate a new PDF document. We do have other options, so for example, if the employee details spanned more than one page, then we could tell CoolSpools to generate a new PDF document each time the employee number on the page changes. Let's page down again, and here we're specifying the variable employee ID that we used earlier in the file name. These parameters can be used to pass information from the spool file page to your custom exit programs, but they can also be used to generate variables, as we've done here by specifying the special value *var. And in this case, we're populating the variable based on the data in a particular position on the page. And so for every page, or all pages, we'll take the data from line number 8 in column number 6 that has a length of 4 characters, and we might want to increase that if we think that the value of the employee number is going to exceed 9099 in the future. And then finally we specify the name of the variable, empid, and as we've already seen, this is the name that we can use to refer to this variable in the other parameters of the command. Now let's page down again until we come to the parameters controlling the font that's used, and you'll see that we've overridden the font that's used for the text coming from the spool file to be bold Helvetica with a 20-point font size, and that's just making it a lot more readable on the page than the 10-point Courier that would be the default font. And now let's page down through the parameters again until we come to the parameters for including image files on our PDF document. This first image in the directory /home/demo/staff/images is named staff_id_form.jpg and is the form containing the header text and logo and the boxes around the staff ID page. You can leave most of these parameters at their default values, but it's worth noting the X coordinate and Y coordinate, which allow you to move the image around on the page, and think of those as being the position relative to the bottom left-hand corner of the page, and also the scale factor that allows you to increase or decrease the size of the image. In this case, we're increasing the size of the image slightly. And this is what we would describe as a static image that's the same on every page of the PDF that's generated. But if we page down, we can see a second image is generated, and it's from the same directory on the IFS, but this time the file name is the letter S followed by the employee ID .jpg. And so this is going to be a different image file depending on the employee ID on the page. This time we are specifying X and Y coordinates to move the image slightly in from the edge of the page, and we're using the scale factor to reduce the size of the image by half because the signature images are too large for the page. And if we page down, there's the third image, and this time it's the employee photo, which has a file name that's just the employee ID.jpg. Again, we're specifying X and Y coordinates, and this time we're moving the image a long way from the edge. And we're using the scale factor to reduce the image to about a quarter of its size, because the staff photos are much too large for the page. And getting the X and Y coordinates and the scale factor right is usually a case of trial and error. If you start by leaving the parameters at their defaults and see what's generated, then you can adjust the size and position of the picture until it looks right on the page. Now if we come out of the prompt screen, we can just walk through those parameters again. So we're converting from a spool file named staff ID to a PDF document named staff ID and then employee ID.pdf. We can replace an existing PDF document if it's there. We're fitting the PDF document to the spool file's page size, and we're splitting the spool file at the end of each page to a different PDF document. We're populating a variable named EMPID with the data on line 8, column 6 for 4 characters on each page, and we're overriding the font to bold Helvetica 20 point, and we're including image files, so the staff ID form, the signature S employee ID.jpg, and the staff photo employee ID.jpg. And so the result of all that is that the images from this folder on our IFS are included in our PDF conversion. So there you can see the form that contains the header and the boxes, the signature files that start with S and then the employee number, and the employee photos that are just the employee ID.jpg. And the end result of that is that the very simple spool file with just 3 lines of text on each page is converted to this complex PDF document that includes multiple images, some of which are dynamically allocated depending on the employee ID on the page. And as you can imagine, this functionality has a lot of different uses. So I hope that this has been a useful introduction to including static and dynamic images on your PDF documents when you convert your IBM iSpool files using CoolSpools. You can find more information on the command and parameters that we've looked at in this video and the rest of the CoolSpools application at our website www.coolspools.com.